Hey everyone, and welcome back to some more fun building the fastest Porsche 964 that I can ever build in my garage. Last time I had some fun with finally closing up and finishing off the engine. So that piece is more or less done right now. This time I'm going to do something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. That is connecting all of the things, making them work. Leading up to this point, we have done some bits and pieces, putting and integrating my dash. There's a piece where I developed the CAN bus network in the car. There's another piece where I look at the center console and how to do that. There's a lot of things on the front, the front of the car in Porsche language. Today, we're going to look at the harnessing and how we start planning and building a strategy for how the things get connected together. Something really cool and something I've been looking forward to a long time. And you know what? There's been quite a lot of playing around up until this point. As I said just before here, we put some work into integrating the dash here. This is the Motec 1212 or C1212 dash. That is going to be the interface to everything in this car, really. We spent some time at integrating the rotary controller here, the jaw sensor for the ABS, the VCU for the suspension. And also building this little control console here in the front. All these things, they need to get sort of finalized. This is all mock-ups now, so let's start here in the cabin with trying to finish these things off. I think a good place to start this is up here around this little center console, right? So what do we have? We have the rotary controller. That's where I will do settings on the car. I will have start and stop of the car, a few other things. I have the ABS jaw sensor there because it's the center of the car. I have a diagnostic port there, so that's where I program the car and get access to the CAN bus network. And here is a little circular connector, and obviously seems to be in the wrong side, right? And up here is the JRC VCU unit that I just made a different case for. And so the concept with building these compartments here was supposedly that it would get easier to do it and it would become more integrated, because I would have one wire harness coming up here that would bring everything to the suspension control unit from JRC here. It would bring everything to this one. Meaning the CAN bus, meaning the sensors from the front suspension, the actuators for the front suspension, and all those things. And then it would connect up to the VCU, and then it would go to the rear of the car. So I connect here, and then this one is taken care of, and all of this is a separate harnessing. That works fine. Then this one was supposed to be the same concept, but this circular connected obviously on the other side. So the concept was okay, but I didn't take it as far as I needed to for it to make sense. So I came up with this instead, which is, as you can see, a much larger piece that houses really everything of this and has one connector there that connects the whole Monty. So what is this then? Well, this would house the rotary controller just up there. It would house the ABS jaw sensor just down there under it. So those two components are taken care of. It would house the tire pressure sensor control unit. So this one measures the tire pressure in all four tires. So this one goes in there and it sits just like that. Unfortunately, the piece was so big that I had to print it in two pieces. I might find someone that has better resources than me to just get this done in one piece, or I'll just maybe paint this and make it nice, or I'll just leave it like this. What the heck? Anyway, so what I can do now when I have this is I can create one wire harness here on the inside that just neatly connects these components here. So it will connect to the rotary controller, the ABS under it, the antenna or the ECU for the tire pressure. It would go back to the VCU, and then it will continue back, and I'll actually pick up all the ABS sensors and all the stuff in the back, so that this really becomes one piece that takes care of all of that, and I only need one harness coming up to this one. And I will also put in the very top of this, just here, I'll just put a connector like this that just sits there. But when I want to program my car, the PDM, the ECU, whatever it is, then this is going to be the interface that sits just there, and I'll just temporarily hook something up to this one. I'm going to bring a 12 volt out to this one as well, so if I have a camera in the car, then this is where I'm going to connect it and power the camera somehow. So this concept then, I don't know what you think about this. I would like to know what you think about this, so do write me a comment about this. I spent a lot of time designing this, and I think it's pretty cool. The plate, there's going to be a little aluminum plate that sits here and just covers this up nicely, and that's where the diagnostic port is going to sit. I'm going to get going and just do up the wire harness, the internal wire harness on this one, so this is done. But before I do that, let's plug it into the car and see how it looks. So nice and tidy there. Got a little bit of space before the gear lever there, the CAE shifter. And we have the circular connector that will take everything in there and then just continue on with it. We have the VCU back here with the two connectors. And then, as I tried to explain here, there's going to be cables, of course, going from the VCU to the rear suspension. Has to do that, right? And there's going to be cables that goes just next to the rear suspension to the ABS. And I'm going to pull those cables in through this connector. They're going to go under this piece. They're going to go out neatly here. And then I have two here. Here we go, right wheel, and there we go, left wheel. So this is a little connector piece. What this is a circular piece like that with a little nut that you turn on like this. Right, so that clamps down on the car body. And then the harness, the internal harness that I'm going to do inside of this box, it's going to connect to all these components, and then it's going to have two strands that goes up to those two. Right, so I take care of all of this in a little sub harness, and this little thing here then will be another little sub harness that goes out to the wheel, and everything connected to the wheel will go for this one. So that's the ABS sensor, it is the parking brake, and it is the suspension itself. Now that we figured out this, I would like to show you what the final design concept of this guy ended up being. So we have this guy. I tried to make something nice here that just sits and attaches to the cage of the car there. It's inclined towards the driver so that it's a little bit friendly in that manner. It has the kill switch of the entire car there, the ACC where you turn the car actually on, the lights, cabin fan. Actually, I don't know all of the things I'm going to have here. I really don't. But I'm going to have some buttons there that controls everything in the car. Strength of the ABS, and then the brake bias. This two-color print that I did, it doesn't look very good. So I had a good friend contacting me, giving me a suggestion, a guy called Roger Myhre, and he has a company in Norway called Myhre Skilt, or Myhre Skilt, which they do signboards and instrumentation panels and stuff. So he gave me a suggestion here to, why don't you just take the front of the print off and make that in an aluminum plate like this, that is then laser, I think it's laser etched, to give it the dials there. And then I can make a much simpler piece here in the back that then looks very nice, even if I do it myself in my garage. So what I then need to do, of course, is to take the stuff from this guy, assemble it onto this one, and we will see how this final panel will look. And I'm not sure I'm going to bore you with how it looks to assemble one of these, but I do really like the idea of the manufacturing technique where you kind of take the base out of a printed thing, and then you just make it really nice on the top using a much more sophisticated manufacturing technique. And now, having just assembled the panel here, I have to say I'm quite excited by how this thing looks. I have to say it looks quite, yeah, I'll use the word professional. And it gives this thing, when it's sitting on a metal plate, it gives a certain sturdiness to it. So this is going to be a keeper. And this is how the final piece looks. I'm going to go in and put it on the cage there. I might need to reprint the back piece there, put a circular connector on it so that I pick up the dial for the ABS, the CAN bus for this one, and the kill switch in one connector for the main harness of the car. I'll see that in a second if I do that. Okay, so time for a little practice drive. Okay, can reach the buttons here, good. I can reach the kill switch if I needed to. Brake bias is a little bit far. And ABS is a little bit far. I'm not a good enough driver to tinker with these while I'm driving, but maybe I should extend this a little bit towards me now that I feel the final setup here. This one, good. I don't need to touch anything else than that. And steering wheel is good here. I am missing one thing, and that is the buttons on the steering wheel here. I'm sort of thinking if I should build a custom steering wheel here, something cool. But somewhere the madness has to have sort of a limitation. But I do need buttons on the steering wheel here, because that's where my blinkers are going to be, right? And then we get to the battery, the power, the electricity, the voltage, whatever you want to call it. And I had an idea to hook it up to one of these guys. I bought one of these. It's called Power Start. It's 12-volt lithium-ion start battery. I had a lithium battery in my car before, so I know how these are. I've gone through 2 of them, actually. So this is my 3rd one. Don't ask me why. And the idea was then to hook this one up to one of this. This is a CarTech battery isolator. So what this one does is that it is hooked up to the negative on the battery. So this one grounds when it is connected, and when it is disconnected, then it disconnects the ground from the battery. It's really neat how they've done that. Really small, really nice. And then, of course, as I mentioned previously, everything is going to be controlled over CAN bus via this PDM 30 from Motec. So this one will turn things on and off. It will act as fuses, so that if anything runs hot, it will cut it and I can reset it and so on. Really nice. That was the original setup. This is all good. I found something else that I liked better, unfortunately. Not unfortunate for my car. My car will like it. It was quite expensive, unfortunately, so some of my financing muscles will not like it. I found this. Light blocks, right? So this is a LiPo battery made in Germany. Really cool. Light blocks, it's called, because it is very lightweight. And this is a battery with an integrated kill switch into the battery. So what this means is that I can actually hook up this battery. I can hook it up by several means. I will have the button, the kill switch, in my little dash in the dashboard there. So that one goes in here. It is connected over CAN bus, so I can see the battery status of this in my dash, so I can see if everything is okay. I can also connect over Bluetooth. So if I want to cut the switch over my phone so that no one can steal my car like an immobilizer, I can do that. So what this means is that I am going to connect this battery straight to this one, and there's not going to be anything more. Very minimalistic, very nice. I'm not really going to save anything in terms of weight and so on, because I already had a lithium battery in my car, and these are similar. But the point with this, it was really the integration of it, and that this is more of a motorsport grade battery. This is also LiPo technology, which is the safest one that you can have, as opposed to the old lithium batteries and the ones that are in cars today. They're a different chemistry called NMC, and they have an issue with something called thermal runoff. For those of you that has followed this series, you know that my frunk, the front of the car, doesn't look anything like a normal 964 with the fuel tank there and the oil tank there and ABS is there and so on. So what to do about this? The battery traditionally is up there, which is a really poor choice for me, since that will actually make the car heavier with that big cable going all the way back to the starter. So I initially thought, you know what, there's a prime spot for the battery just there. I'm not going to put it there because this guy here is going to be about 100 degrees Celsius because of what the oil temperature is. Of course, there's going to be a lot of air movement in here, so that heat is going to move away, but that feels like not a very good spot. There's another very nice place, and that is just exactly there. It looks almost like this battery, with the shape it has, is supposed to sit there, because it just kind of locks into that little flat spot that is just there. However, again, it's very close to the thermostat housing here, and this guy is really hot. No. But you know what? It's possible to move it up here, and I could even put it in that direction. Then it kind of gets away a little bit from the heat over there. The other place that I'm considering for the battery is smack up there in the passenger footwell. It kind of looks stupid having a battery inside the cabin. It kind of does, but on the other hand, it sits very low. That's good, I guess. On the other hand, it doesn't weigh so much, so up or down, don't know. The other location is exactly there, so from a weight position, this is actually better than what it was before, because it's there rather than up there. When it comes to cabling, okay, the biggest, heaviest cable is going to go from that one back here to the starter. That's the biggest cable in the entire car, and the heaviest cable. So that one needs to go somewhere, no matter where I put this battery. And if I do like this, then it will be pretty easy pulling it that way. So it's a good position. It kind of messes up the space if I ever want to have a passenger in here, so I'll have to sort of build a box or something around it if I'm ever going to do that. So there or there, need to put a little bit of thought into this. And I'm kind of getting more and more convinced that the battery should be up here. It does leave the battery a little bit higher, but it does leave it a little bit more forward. It does give a nice routing point for the big cables that do need to go down to the ABS, because they need to go directly from the battery. And I can have the PDM just behind here. So I'm kind of leaning on this. What I did was I created, just for a test here, a little adapter plate that will go in there, just like that. So that one will be bolted down to the battery, or sorry, bolted down to the body, and then the battery will bolt into this one. So with this, the battery will sit very sturdy, very firmly in that manner. So if I do end up adopting this concept, I will probably take the oil tank and turn it around this direction, so that the thermostat housing with the filter that hangs under it, that this faces this direction. And then I'll take 2 oil lines out here towards this cooler here, and the other 2 lines that will just go over there, just past here. So some food for thought on this. I'm really struggling with where I place this guy, the power distribution module, replacing all the relays, all the fuses, all of that, really minimizing the cabling. So battery is just there, right? Just on the other side of the panel there. So I could produce a little plate and put the unit just there, right? That would be one option. That would make cabling in and out of this guy quite complicated. I could put it down there, just like that. I would get a lot of crisscross on the cables though, which is not something you want to have. I'm kind of leaning into that it needs to go just there, right? If I do that, then I get a little bit of a complicated power cable coming down from the battery to this one. That won't look so good. But I can get nice wiring of cables here and on the other side. So I could sort of get away with the other cables being pretty lean. I'm really struggling with this, I really am. Tossing around with this for a while, I did do a little bit of reading on the internet on how to actually do this and how to figure out how this cable routing is supposed to be done. And I figured out that I needed to buy a little bit of rope, different kinds here. Because the challenge is you have power cables like this, big ones, it's going to go back to the battery. And then you have signal wires and you have the small little wires. You don't want them to really cross over too much. You want it to look logical and be logical and as uncomplicated as possible. So I'm going to try using this rope and I'm going to try to kind of connect the components just using the rope. And then I'll see if this setup that I've picked, if it's even logical at all. So I'll use the rope. So this one is for really small things. This one is for medium things. This one is for a little bit bigger harness pieces. And then I have some tape to put it together. So I'm going to struggle with this for a while, try it out here, and then I'll show you what I came up with. And I've been playing around with this for a while, cutting these ropes to different routes, and I've finished up the first little harness stretch. So I figured out that I'm going to have two harnesses, one on the left side and one on the right side. So this is the left one. The left one goes here. It goes into one of the connectors on the PDM, and it goes here and it picks up all of these components here. Then it continues on. It picks up the ECU. And then it continues on to one or two circular connectors up there. And that's where the engine will connect. So what you see here, all of this, is one harness. So as I'm completely happy with the routing here, I will just take this out and I will measure the lengths. So this picks up the keypad, it picks up the left side of the PDM, it picks up the throttle position sensor there and the clutch sensor, and then everything here, the ECU, and then the engine. And on the other side, we end up with this. So we come out from the other connector. So this will be a separate harness, the green one here on the right. It will branch off and go to the wiper, washer, windscreen, heated windscreen, fuel tank, front lights, blinkers, all of that. And then it will branch off and continue, follow the original routing, and then go back there and have a circular connector. So there will be a sub branch back there. The red one will come from the battery, and there's a bulkhead passing there, and it will go down up to the PDM, and then continue back to the starter, right? So this now turns into the two sub-harnesses, one on the left side with ECU, VCU, ABS, dash, all the Campbell system, all of that stuff. And then the right one, which is essentially consumers. Might change order of the things here. Might put the big battery transition in the middle so that cable kind of comes down in a nicer way than what it is here right now. And the other alternative is, of course, to challenge the design consideration I did before with putting the battery up there, right? Harnessing is a little bit cleaner if I do this. Passenger, if I'm ever gonna have one, is gonna complain about this stupid box being in the way there. But this routing becomes much nicer. It really does. And I do, in this setup still, only end up with two harnesses, one left and one right. I will have to pull a power cable in this one, possibly from the battery, with the little fuse out to the ABS, because the ABS requires so much power that it will consume the bigger part of this one if I use this one. And now up here in the front, it will be something like this with little plate here saying like ABS, maybe consumers, maybe lights or something like that, depending on exactly how I branch off the harnesses coming from the other side. Right now it's only left and right, or right and left, whatever. So I'll make aluminum plate there, black. I'll ask my good friend Roger at Myreschild if he can make one of these, and that will make this whole area look really, really nice there. That was a blast, wasn't it? I remember 2 years ago when I was sitting just over there cutting the main harness of the original OEM harness of this car, thinking to myself, you know what, it's going to be easy, I'm just going to make my own harness. This is not easy. This is really complicated because it might look like I'm just pulling rope in here randomly doing things, but in fact I am selecting each of the connectors, figuring out that they have enough pins, that they have the right current capacity. I am planning so that the signals that go on the left connector, they are enough, and the right ones to fulfill that one, and that the communication needed from this one goes to that one, and all these things. You need to really take all of it into account, and it is an immense amount of work. It's also really fun, a part of engineering that I really do like. Some of the things, I think they turned out exceptionally well. I think this one is really cool. I really like what I did with that. I do like the geometry of this one. I'm not 100% done with the finish of it yet, so I might still improve that a little bit. The harnessing, once I figured out the exact way of pulling it, the exact lengths, it is going to be fabricated using a method called concentric twist, which is a real motorsport way of doing it. Extremely light, extremely flexible, and also very, very difficult to do. So the light blocks, the battery that I got from the German company here, I really do like it with the integrated kill switch into the battery. That makes it really in line with what I want to do with my car, with having this everything as integrated as I possibly can, as clean and tidy as I possibly can. So I'm going to carry on here, build some harnessing, get that done. You on your side, please do subscribe, push the like button, tell me what you think about this concept, and I will see you for the next episode.